here's what a natural process of law creating me, I gotta go. It's the intellect that is supposed to regulate the life. And it is supposed to regulate the life based on our attention to moral thinking and rational thinking. Imam Mohammed says that when information comes into the body, into the mind by way of the five senses, it first registers upon your emotional nature. If someone says, listen, I got a job for you this weekend, man, you can make $500. Your rational mind didn't hear that first. Your emotional mind heard that first. $500. I can pay that rent this month. Take my baby out to the movies. $500. But then there's another voice that kicks in that says, hold on, Slick Willie. How are we going to make this $500? See, that's a moral concern. Especially when you know Slick Willie. Don't call him Slick Willie for nothing. So you ask him, say, Slick Willie, that sounds good, but what do I need to do? Slick Willie said, look, no, man, ain't like that. Okay? What you need to do is, I have this construction job. Somebody turned me on to, they said they need 5 other guys. I'm turning you on because you're my friend. All right, now that the moral requirement has been satisfied in your brain, now your moral says, well, now let me turn this over to my rational. Because now I have to, let me see, I'm supposed to be watching my children on that day. Let me find a babysitter. I have to, make sure I have to wear whatever clothes I need for the construction. Right? Now the rational mind begins to kick in once the moral requirement is satisfied. Those two processes are taking place in the intellect, and Imam Mohammed said that they represent the 2 legs that the intellect uses to advance itself forward. First moral, once the morals are satisfied, then it gives it up to the brain, to the rational, so that it can implement it. Does that make sense? Those are the 2 legs. But a baby is not born walking on 2 legs. Just as we are not born with moral and rational properties. Moral and rational properties come as we are introduced more and more to the environment, to the culture. So it is the Muslim obligation to keep the environment conducive to that which respects the native-born intelligence. When we begin to do things and say things and introduce ideas that go counter to the intelligence, again, is when we run into all of the problems. So the proper development for community life is in the idea of studying the fitrah and then determining how to introduce ideas and concepts to the minds of our public that will help us begin to build an edifice upon that foundation that is reflective of that which respects intelligence. That which your soul can be satisfied implementing without a problem. In the word community, you've heard it broken down as common unity, right? Common unity. If we don't have a common unity, we don't have a community. If we don't have some common things, some common ideas that we can agree upon as being progressive for us, then we don't have a true community. In fact, I hate to be the one to tell it to you, but we truly do not have a community yet. We don't. It's just a word. And Imam Mohammed said it best. He says we have an association.
That's what he said.
He says we are an association. Because he understood something, being especially the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who spoke on community life also. He just called it nation building. But his father understood, and I'm sure it registered on the Imam, that in order to have a community, we have to have some land. How many of us have progressed to that level of discussion? Say, hey man, can we get, one hand went up. Can we get at least 5 acres somewhere? You understand? Can we get 17 acres somewhere? Do you know how many acres of land are lost to African Americans, especially those of us in the North who don't understand the value of land? And we have grandparents and uncles and aunties in the South who we don't even go to see anymore. And they're sitting there getting old, having the land swindled out right from under their noses by crafty people who understand the value of land. They want to give it to us. We say we don't want it. We're not, you know, no, I don't want to deal with no mules and no horses and land. I don't want no land. I want the projects. I'm used to the projects. I'm used to the city life, big city life. So because we don't understand the value, we have lost something that is intrinsic in terms of information that will allow us to become true community builders, because we don't understand the fitrah. You have to understand the progression of human life in the history of human life and development. Human beings at one point were what they call hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers. The hunters were the men. The gatherers were the women. While the men were out hunting big bison and antelope and buffalo, the women would be close to home with her apron gathering fruits, gathering berries. And that would be her contribution, because she couldn't be that far away from home like the male could. And the idea of a male being a hunter and them coming to that realization that man was a hunter is also an idea that comes out of the study of man's role in the Quran under the term rijal. Rijal. Allah says that the rijal are the maintainers and providers for an-nisa, for the women. Why? This root word for rijal, rajul, also has a connection to the feet, to the legs. And the legs were the primary tools used by the male to hunt. He would run after his game, right? He would throw spears at it, run after it. So the legs were the featured aspects of the human biology during the days of hunter-gatherer, right? And even in some European countries, their children would watch their fathers go out to hunt. You know, they used to have those skirts, what they call those? The kilts, yeah. And from a distance, they couldn't tell whose father was who. The children would be looking at them coming back. And all the children would see basically a bunch of legs coming their way. And their word for leg was what we call the animal leg now. The animal foot, paw. So they see two legs, they said paw paw. That's where you get the word papa. Paw paw. You understand? So they understood the importance of the legs is my point. All right? And this is an idea that is not lost to us who read the Quran, because the typical word for male in the Quran also alludes to the legs. No. So in this word community is also the letters O-M-M. Community. You see it? And O-M-M is just another version of U-M-M. And U-M-M is the Quranic word, the Arabic word for which is mother. And they preserve that idea in the word community, because from the word we also get ummah. Ummah, community. So I'm showing you the relationship between the English language and the Arabiya. The ideas that come out of the Quranic context. Very important for us to understand. Now, what interferes with the proper growth and development of community life as it has been established in the fitrah? The fitrah, again, gives us both form and function. And form and function is what allows us to operate as a united whole, even in terms of this physical body. If this physical body was not respective of what it needs to operate on a holistic level, this body would be doomed to failure. If this heart were to say, I'm going to operate independent,